say about that? Because I think Dr. Shinkafi is sort of giving the impression that one should be optimistic cautiously in this matter. I think that's the most important thing that Dr. Shinkafi is putting out. How say you, sir, in regards to the doability of this? Because a lot of people have been encouraged. You and I have spoken here, so many times about the lack of political will. It's one thing to mouth it, but you don't enable them. Now, it would seem that this is different. I don't know why I get that impression, but this one where they are saying that I'm putting a timeline to it. I'm going to check you guys out by the end of 2025, and I hope you would have succeeded. What are your thoughts?
You know what the doctor was saying is not fundamentally different from what I said the other time. You see, the military will keep having this recurring challenge if you don't uproot the problem. Now, the head of the bandit that his son was killed, his house was vandalized, destroyed, burned down, and the like. But that head, you see, that's why I said, first, approach it intelligently rather than from the brute force.
Okay, so this is to the military right now. This comment is to the military.
Yes. You see, first of all, these foot soldiers are not too fundamental. Why they are not too fundamental is because the leadership can always raise foot soldiers anytime once the leadership and the structure are on ground. So why don't you go right to the leadership and the structure? For me, that should be the approach, because the approach as it is right from for some time has been this approach of there's the cry of terrorism in a particular locality, go there, dismantle them, dissipate them, let them scatter and all those stuff. Wherever they are, they regather again, regroup again. Yeah. Like he said, there will be a retaliatory thing. So why don't you quietly, without making a noise, identify those who are the chief protagonists, who are the heads and the like, and deal with that. Once you have dealt with that, even the Bible says when you strike the shepherd, the sheep will scatter. Now, the issue of the sheep should not be the main target of this marching order. To me, should be, first of all, identify those who are the main architects, either in finance, in operation, in logistics and the like, those who are actually the foundational, and that is why they need to work with the DSS, because that is the headquarters of intelligence in this country. I agree that they all have their intelligence department in the army, in the naval, in the air force, in the police. But when you talk about compound, omnibus intelligence in this country, and talking about it professionally, they need to work symbiotically with the DSS. With that, they will be able to identify names. They'll be able to identify even the movements, and they need to also apply technology. Because if you identify these people, they are sharp enough. They don't use our Android phone. They don't use our Android phone, and they're always very mobile. They don't stay in one place. But there are different ways that you can also get them.
And I'm sure
they can never be too careful.
I'm sure they will know all of this.
So for me, I think that the best approach, and I will still say that, is that, look, if you don't want a recurring thing, you go there, you make it peaceful temporarily. And they come back again, then go straight to the roots, to the foundation itself. And even at international level too. Who are those that are participants criminis at international level? Irrespective of whose or his goal. You remember our former chief of army staff, Buratai, openly came and said, look, some of these international organizations, some of these international countries are what? Agent provocateurs. So what do you do at that point in time? Identify them, blacklist them, tell them to their faces that, look, if you don't stop this, we'll get you out of this country. Now, if you don't do that, even when you kill the leaders or you maim the leaders or incapacitate the leaders, they will still raise another leader, because finance actually brings out greed in man. So if somebody is having 10,000 naira and you are ready to give him $10,000 to raise up another insurrection group or raise up another terrorist group, that is what you keep having. So for you to succeed in that, then you now have to look at the external factors, the external, feeding of terrorism in this country. Those that are fanning the ember of terrorism in this country at local and at international level. Balance it up, even in the political class. Those that are sympathizers in whatever name, whether they call it religious leader or they call it political leader, anybody that is coming out in public domain to come and defend terrorism, terrorists, and terrorist activity in this country, DSS should arrest them.
Okay.
Put them in the gallows.
Thank you. Dr. Shinkafi, let me bring to you a comment that Dr. Ofoyeton made at the beginning. He wondered the need for the publicity, by which I mean we are talking about it after the order has been issued. We don't know when the order was issued, but we did hear from the Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badaru, that the order to proceed thus has been issued and that they are taking it seriously. All agencies are involved, the National Security Advisor and other security chiefs, everyone is involved. Now, Tony was questioning what was the need. Did you hear my comment,
yeah,
Dr. Shinkafi?
The order was given by Mr. President 2 days ago before he departed to Paris. But in this type of operation, I think it is that we have experienced several marching orders given by Mr. President.
No, that's not the point I'm making, sir. Sorry, I apologize for interrupting you. The point I'm asking you about is the fact that we know that an order like this has been given and certain action is expected. Dr. Ofoyeton had said that how necessary is that and how helpful is it? Why, I think Dr. Ofoyeton has suggested at the time that you could just go about the business and when the results, we can then come and explain them.
Sometimes this is just a political gimmick to satisfy some political objectives. You see, this type of marching order doesn't need to go public. The president, as a higher commanding military officer, as a commander-in-chief armed forces of the People of Nigeria, can give orders silently or secretly to execute this war command. So sometime
without telling the public about it.
Setting,
without telling the public about it.
Without telling the public about it, yes, because some of the ministers are using it for political objectives. Like the case of Zamfara State. There is no way you can achieve this fight against armed banditry without working hand in hand with the state governor. And the state governor has some political differences with the Minister of State for Defense. So there should be a secret or silent marching order given to these armed forces. You understand? So the Minister of Defense should liaise with the office of the Minister of Chief of Defense Staff, who is the operational head of Army, Navy, and Air Force, and the Office of National Security at the Baza, including the Nigerian Police Force, how to combat this security situation in Nigeria.
Okay.
If you look at the policy document, which Mr. President unveiled, the 80 pages policy document, is one of the top manifesto of the Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President. So he promised Nigerians that he's going to make Nigeria free of any danger of kidnapping, militancy, Boko Haram, and all that sort of criminality. Yet it has not changed the narrative for the past 20 months of inception of this administration.
Okay,
so
well, let's hold it there, sir. Let's hold it there. I beg your pardon, sir. Let's hold it there for the moment. We need to go on a quick break. We'll be right back and we'll continue this conversation. Thank you very much, Dr. Shinkafi. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, thank you very much for staying with us. And our guests are Dr. Tony Ofoyeton and Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi. We're looking at the president's order to, go, marching orders, go, sort out, end insecurity, end banditry. It's not the first time we've heard it, and neither is President Tinubu the first president that we are quoting in terms of go ahead. In the past, there used to be some confusion about who is a terrorist and who is a common bandit, if there's any such thing as a common bandit. And but we got to the stage, I think, in President Buhari's time when, okay, it sort of escalated from the bandits, well, I don't know if it was escalation, but it was no more terrorism. Now we're called bandits. So let's go ahead and get them. So I wanted to ask Tony that, going back to the point that both of you have made, this is not the first time we're hearing that go after them. But is it different this time? Do you think it is different this time? Because I don't know that before we had, what is referred to as marching orders publicly given. And so the onus is now on the army. Say, fine, we were saying that you guys are too rough, you can't handle domestic issues, so please don't kill our civilians for us. But this time, there's no such thing. Go, anybody that is messing with this country, let us know about it. Is it as simple as that? Or again, is it going to be political?
Well, it's not as simple as that. There are a lot of things that are attached to marching order. But, you asked a question the other time, whether we are hopeful. Personally, as a person, I will tell you that I'm an optimistic professional, and I'm hopeful. Now, one of the reasons is because...
hopeful that the president's order can be achieved.
Yes. Because, the little I've seen about Mr. President, without prejudice, whatever political affiliations and all those stuff like that, is a more liberal person, and is somebody that is actually looking forward to achieving results. And we have seen it play out. Yes, we've had a lot of challenges in the country, and you see a man that is always talking to make sure that, look, I'm going to assure you that things are going to work out at the end of the day, even if some had not worked out and all those stuff like that. Now, this marching order to me is going to produce a better result because, one, all eyes are now on Mr. President. And don't forget that he is a president that is answerable to no other president, no godfather. So he can fire you at any time, and you don't have anybody other than God to run to. So if he has given you the marching order to say, achieve, you don't need to be told what will happen. He has this presidential capacity to take the hardest decision you can think of without thinking twice. I think that is one good thing that works for him. If he is able to use it very well, and is able to use it to the advantage of the country, because this is the godfather of godfathers. I'm sorry to use that phrase.
Yeah, but that is what has been done now.
Yes, that is why I'm saying that we may have more hopeful. Yes, we are more hopeful that we may have a better result, because if you are asked to go or to step down, you don't have anybody to run to go and tell Mr. President to retain your job. So you now have to walk, as it were. But having said so, I also think that, it is high time that religion is attacked frantically in the fight against terrorism in this country. No matter what you tell me, whether you say religion is sensitive, it's not sensitive, and the like. Look, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, the Kuwait, and the like, they are Muslim countries. But why don't we have the volume of terrorism and this unrest we have in these places? Because they've been able to identify the difference between religion and governance. So we must draw that line of demarcation. Those who are using religion as a catalyst for this type of crime and criminality, I think the government should come hard. You see, when you talk about terrorists being in a community, on what ground do they conveniently stay in that community? On the ground of religion. When you talk about terrorists recruiting people from a particular community, on what ground and what basis? On the basis of religion. Now, even though those people that are coming in may not really understand the true intent and purpose, but the fact remains that this happens to be the ingredient through which these terrorists are now exploiting. So the government should come all out.
Okay.
Now, why are northern leaders also not being sincere and true to themselves? We are talking of terrorism, and the highest volume of killing has been in the north. How many governors in the north have come all out to, tackle terrorism to the very foundation of it? What do we play? The ostrich.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Okay.
And once the governors keep playing the ostrich, Uncle Yori, we will not have headway.
Dr. Shinkafi, what would you add to that? That our leaders sometimes play the ostrich. In other words, I think when people want to dignify such behavior, they refer to it as being political. Especially, Tony made a case that, look, for those who are looking at certain things that, quite frankly, are inappropriate, such as religion, for example, a criminal is a criminal. Whether it's a Christian one, whether it's a Muslim one, a criminal is a criminal. How much of this do you see from your end? That is religion interfering.
Yeah, on the issue of religion have explicitly, in accordance with the teachings, tradition, and the custom of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has clearly, even in the Quranic verse, has clearly defined terrorism. So anybody killing an innocent life is not prescribed as a Muslim. So anybody killing people unjustly is classified as a terrorist and ungodly. So those who are hiding on religion, there was no any verses of the Quran or in the Hadith where it was prescribed people should be killed unjustly. So a criminal is defined as a criminal in the common law, also in the Islamic law.
But you know that beyond, I beg your pardon, sir, I beg your pardon, but you know that beyond all of that, these terrorists also profess Islam as their religion. You've heard it. But one moment, sir. Let me come back to you because a caller has come in. So I'm going to come straight back to you since I interrupted you. Mazi Okorafo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Imagine that the president gave is very, very timing. Timing in the sense that this is the beginning of the year. Because the military, by air or by land or by sea, and all these things. Reason. Because of these criminals, they are creating a lot of problems for us. In the sense that where Nigeria is supposed to move, land farmers are supposed to people cannot go to their farm because of this criminality. So the market order is coming at the rightful time. Honestly speaking, the military should try as much as possible. Whether they eat the aircraft or not, they should service it within 1 week. And the boys have already trained and the people they have recruited, they should do that and train them to do the needful.
Okay.
But by the time they do all these things and clear the bush, clear the bush, people can go back and farm. Now, do you know that there are some schools in some of those localities, it's not operating. And we are talking about the education of the literacy. How will you eradicate the literacy? Where the children cannot go to the school. Honestly speaking, I'm just dictating the military authority.
All right.
It's a matter of urgency. Actually, within this month, within this, between now and the 28th of October, they should try as much as possible clear the bush for people to go. Because very soon now, rainy season will come. People will talk about going to farm.
All right. Thank you very much, Mazi Okorafo. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for calling in. So let me return to you, Dr. Shinkafi, since I interrupted you, and you're speaking about people coming in under, the canopy of Islam, falsely professing themselves to be Muslims. They mix with the people. They mix with the people because the people say, well.
Yes, that is what. You see, like Boko Haram, Lakurawa, and ISWAP have some religious ideology they are promoting, but armed banditry is a criminal enterprise which has a lot of value chain, and many people are involved. So unscrupulous, even security personnel are involved, selling arms and ammunition to armed bandits. They were arrested in Zamfara State. Some drug suppliers, food vendors, filling station dealers. And because of the porosity of the border, of the ongoing space, Zamfara State share boundary with Niger Republic, Sokoto share boundary with Niger Republic, Kebbi share boundary with Niger Republic and the Benin Republic. So there is a proliferation of smaller and lighter arms through the land border. Some traditional rulers are aiding and abetting this armed banditry and other criminality.
So that's the point. Exactly.
So yeah. So because of the porosity of the border, it is easiest to smuggle all these kinds of arms and ammunition. So the issue of religion is when you are talking of Lakurawa, ISWAP, Boko Haram, they have an ideology they are promoting. But a criminal is a criminal. An armed bandit is a terrorist, is also a criminal enterprise.
Indeed. Okay. Indeed.
Yes.
Okay, let me come back to you. Indeed.
So you see, the marching order given by Mr. President,
yes,
it can only be practical and effective if the Mr. President will summon an emergency meeting of National Defense Council, where the Inspector General of Police, other security chiefs will be there to discuss these things.
All right.
Because
I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to come back to you.
Police.
Okay. Well, yeah, given to the, well, that last sentence, it was given to the military, not to the police. Well, that's because the police cannot handle
Not to the police, not to the DSS, not to the immigration,
yes,
not to the customs.
That's because the police has been overwhelmed with this matter, Tony. But I want you to speak a bit about this whole, he also mentioned it, that you have some traditional rulers that are actually cooperating with these bandits, whether they will say they don't know or they know, but that is a problem. Some, I don't know.
Now, Egbon, you see, first of all, let me say very quickly that with due respect to the doctor, you know, whether Boko Haram, Lakurawa, as it were, or the Ansarus, then as it were, you know, once an organization is a terrorist organization, they are criminals. But
they are tolerated in Nigeria, unfortunately, especially in relation to the trouble we are seeing in the north.
Nomenclature. And in actual fact, even the issue of banditry has even been removed. They are addressed as criminal, as terrorists, as it were now. So whether they come in the name of any religion or ideology, any ideology that seeks to take a fellow human blood. I'm happy that the doctor said something, that Islam does not tolerate the killing of anybody. So anybody that is coming, or group of people coming with any ideology that has to do with killing is satanic.
Well, they certainly do intend to kill, otherwise
now, for those traditional rulers that are participants criminals, there are two ways to it. There are those that are they are greedy, intentional, traditional rulers. There are those that are coerced into it because they don't have defense. It's either you comply or you are dead. Why? Because they see themselves in ungoverned spaces. And don't forget that in the north, the level of ungoverned spaces in the north, they are higher and bigger than the level of governed spaces in the north. And that is why you see terrorism striving. Niger State, for example, is an equivalent of the whole of Southwest. So if you look at it in terms of landmass, so if you look at it, to what extent what's the presence of federal government in Niger State? Yeah. Now, if you look at the north, we talk about, look at the landmass. Now, if you have a traditional ruler that is sandwiched in that forest, in that desert, you and I understand what he will do. I mean, it's understandable. So that means that the government itself has the sole responsibility to ensure confidence in those traditional rulers. It is when you have succeeded in instilling confidence in them that come rain, come shine, we are with you. Then those that are now greedy, you are able to isolate them. Then you cannot deal with those that are greedy accordingly.
Okay.
But as we speak now, Uncle Yori, how do you identify those that are greedy and those that are saving their lives and the lives of their families?
Let me ask Dr. Shinkafi, maybe you can be of assistance there. If you were following the narrative, you know, what can be done in that regard? Because you've got to go for these people. Well, when I say go for them, not in terms of hounding them, but you've got to have them on side. These traditional rulers, you have to be perfectly sure that these are leaders that are on side, not going to become agents and informing these terrorists of what the plans are. What can you contribute to that?
Yeah, because of the ungoverned space and the lack of the presence of the security personnel in some of these ungoverned spaces, that is what gives birth to the nefarious activities of these traditional rulers. And most of these traditional rulers are under-motivated by the various state governments. And clearly some of their roles are not clearly defined in Nigerian constitution. So sometimes the traditional rulers misbehave, and some of them are criminally minded individuals, and they are morally corrupt. So some of them have been aiding and abetting. It's very unfortunate. One magazine Gurbim Ore connived with an armed bandit to kidnap the family of a former commissioner in Zamfara State, where some ransom were paid, 10 million was paid ransom to the bandit leaders, and the money were shared with that traditional ruler. And he was given 700,000 out of the 10 million that I paid as a ransom. And the traditional ruler, Magajin Gurbi, was only removed. And he was not sentenced to imprisonment. He was just roaming about now. And now migrated to Katsina State in one of the border towns. So these are some of the problem.
I can see. One moment, please. I beg your pardon. I have someone on the line. So sorry, sir. Shola in Ikorodu. Good morning to you, sir, and thank you for holding on.
Yeah. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Yeah. Good morning to the gentleman, the great gentleman in the studio,
Dr. Foyeton.
Please, I want to make something clear this morning. Due respect to Dr. Shinkafi, your guest from the other end.
He's our guest in our Abuja studio.
Yeah, in the Abuja studio. I think I disagree with some of the points he's raising. Honestly. You see, I'm an Yoruba man. I was born in the north. I grew up in the north. Your guest in the studio raised a very valid point. You see, if religious sentiment is not involved in all this terrorism we are having in the north, terrorism in the north would have been a thing of the past. I am telling you the truth. Terrorism would have been a thing of the past if religious sentiment is not involved. Don't be surprised, Uncle Yori, that this Truji or whatever his name is, he will still be going back to his hometown to sleep, and people will not mention it. They will not say it because of religious sentiment. If they can remove the ideology of religious sentiment in the issue of banditry, Boko Haram, ISIS in the northern part of this country, I'm telling you, terrorism would be a thing of forgotten.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Shola. Appreciate your calling in. So that's that then. But the only thing that I'm a bit happy with is that Tony, in the past, because we've been talking about this for years, has been in agreement when we talk about all these, what do we call it? All these, marching orders. We've heard it. But we always had the impression that they weren't saying all that needed to be said. But somehow that feeling has been assuaged a bit. I don't know exactly why, but feel that it's different with this particular instance of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah, I'm optimistic, I'm very, very optimistic that things will get better in terms of the security landscape in the country.
We'll just keep let's keep our fingers crossed on that and be hopeful. So thank you very much, Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi, policy analyst, ED Patriot for Advancement of Peace and Social Development. And thanks to Dr. Tony Ofoyeton in our Lagos studio here at DG International Institute of Professional Security. Thank you both gentlemen for airing your views on this particular subject matter.
Thank you very much.
Indeed, our pleasure. And so that's our program today. Yes, thank you. That's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.